Listen, I've yet to see a single episode of Riverdale, even though it's probably the most recommended show I've gotten. So Sabrina is my first introduction to the CW/Netflix world where everyone is so damn attractive. I don't know if the two are supposed to be connected, considering that there's already been Easter eggs in Sabrina that come from Riverdale, but there's also some characters from Riverdale that are here, and supposedly it contradicts what's happening. I don't really know. What I think is hilarious, though, is the behind the scenes about the showrunner, because the guy who's doing both of these shows at one point in the early 2000s was making a play about Archie, and the company hit him with a cease and desist. They actually forced him to change the name of all the characters in order to perform the play because they thought that making Archie gay would tarnish the character. And then a decade later, this man became the chief creative officer of the comics. After they hired him to do Afterlife with Archie, that made them so much money, they decided to hire him to run both of these shows, proving that cash dissolves all grudges. So much so that they're already filming the second season. They even have a Christmas special that's coming out. So of course, I had to go to my local church so I can be protected while I binge this witchery before I got kicked out for using the church's Netflix accounts. In fact, this thing is getting sued by the Satanic Church for copyright reasons. They literally tweeted out that the use of the statue within the show is culturally appropriating the ones that they have in their place. So, white people appropriating Satan. So when the Church of Satan doesn't like it, right? Christians are obviously praying for their kids to steer clear from it. I had to see what this show actually had to offer. Let me explain. So to me, this whole thing is like the Wizarding World meets One Tree Hill. Sabrina's practically a half-blood princess who hangs out with her muggle friends before realizing she has a bigger destiny in line for her. She goes to a demonic Hogwarts that specializes more in blouses than they do houses. Her classmate with the white hair is always out to get her, and I know that I'm not the only one who saw this chick and thought that she was just a blonde Hermione.
Fast-moving zombies is a relatively new concept in horror. Earlier incarnations assumed that reanimated corpses were afflicted by rigor mortis.
This girl has a Pee Wee Herman house, except with magic. She's living with her two witch aunts since her parents died when she was young, and so the biggest struggle that they're facing with Sabrina is whether or not she's going to sign her soul over to the devil when she turns the right age or not. You know, teenager stuff. In fact, the whole thing is kind of like a flip on Catholicism. You know, her dark baptism that she has to go through is practically like a communion. They put stuff on their foreheads, they have just as many idols, and they're just as superstitious.
Some people might say that a bat crashing through a window is a bad omen.
Or you become Batman? Considering there was a past witch hunt in Greendale, these witches are really set on converting Sabrina so they don't lose her to the mortals. They put a Lil B curse on her and end up hunting down those around her.
Do you know Sabrina?
No. But I knew her bastard of a father who broke sacred witch law when he married a mortal sow.
Bruh, these witches got shooters out here. One of them is trying so hard to be Satan's Mrs. Claus that she takes the form of Sabrina's teacher in order to lurk on her. And when I say lurk, I mean this lady's like Randall from Monsters, Inc. all over the place. Funniest thing about her is that she kept reminding me of Lord, right? There was something about her. Every time I saw her, I just kept thinking of Lord, but it wasn't until they introduced Mr. Blackwood, who's the high priest of the Church of Night, that I realized that they both look like they review fast food in their car. So Sabrina's Aunt Zelda may have been an elf warrior in one life, but here, she's that aunt who makes you show up at family parties just to keep up appearances. Like Aunt Hilda's cool. She's the one who shows up to the party to snatch a plate, but Zelda wants everyone in the church to know they're doing well. So Sabrina gets forced to do her dark baptism. She ends up dressing up like Katniss, just to take it all off. And right when she's about to sign her life away, she books it like Forrest into the forest. Teens. Always running away from their satanic responsibilities. Production team saw Evil Dead, so they try to imitate that tree scene to stop her, but she escapes since...
My name is Sabrina Spellman, and I will not sign it away.
Believe it or not, the devil ain't a feminist, so he ain't having it. And so he gets Mrs. Lord to step up her game as she starts seducing the principal to get closer to Sabrina and turns him into an ICP fan.
I admire your defiance, girl.
Should get to decide what we can and can't read.
Amen. So just like the church in real life, Satan in the show is taking Sabrina to court because she didn't sign her soul over to him. You'd think the one who duped Eve into eating a fruit could take a hint. Nah. In fact, I expected a little bit more dignity from the dark arts and not forging a damn baby's signature.
Nice and loud, child.
It says
Sabrina Spellman.
How? After Austin left Allie, he went to Greendale where he started dating Sabrina, and we get to see this cutesy relationship between a dude who comes from a family of witch hunters and a witch who keeps men blacking him all the time.
I have a coping strategy. Whenever I'm really missing you, I'll hold you close to my heart.
Listen to my voice, hear my words, and forget I said anything. Bless your mind and bless your heart. Love these people. That's tomorrow.
Wait, hold on. Stop.
Sabrina also has her mortal friends who start a feminist union at their school known as Wicca, because, she's a witch. One of her friends is also getting bullied by the jocks because I guess they didn't like her in Stranger Things. And her other friend, Roz, I personally think has one of the best storylines. Like, there's this bit involving banning books that she's vehemently fighting against, and you realize that the reason she's so up on it is because she's close to becoming blind. They didn't even show you her grandma who played Rose on Lost, and here she lost her vision.
You say all the time, Grandma Walker went blind because she didn't have faith.
Now, that'd be a bogus thing to say in our world, but Satan straight up runs a school in this one, so it turns out you little faith will go blind. Her grandma also tells her about the power of visions that run in their family, which would make for a great TV show if it wasn't done already. So these two end up being just one side of Sabrina's story at school, while we also see her home life starring the boy Ambrose. This dude is under house arrest for trying to blow up the Vatican. Not a Kmart or a Popeyes or whatever else Book hits up. My man went straight for the damn Vatican. He's Sabrina's cousin, so he helps out with the mortuary that they run. He's trying to investigate a warlock murder that he believed happened, but in his downtime, my man's spinning his game with an iguana.
Because I have him upstairs in my room. If you wanted to say hi.
And even though Aunt Hilda did a little Bill Cosby, don't think we didn't see that, eventually these warlocks lock wands. Sabrina ends up hiring this lawyer who her father knew, who is so scummy. Like, this dude wasn't just defending criminals. He defended the dude who killed his own daughter.
Tick, tock. Daniel Webster.
Sir! Needless to say, he's freaking fantastic at his job, and finds out that Sabrina was actually dunked in holy water right after she was born, and since her Aunt Hilda was there as a witness for the baptism, well, Aunt Hilda gets excommunicated, but it does clear Sabrina since she's already been claimed, and all she has to do is go to emo Hogwarts. We meet this dude named Nick who's willing to scratch every itch he sees.
Why do you have to be such a bitch all the time, Prue?
I don't know, Nikki. Why do you have to be such a warlock slut all the time?
Gossip girl looking hoe. But of course, Sabrina is focused on her studies.
Yes, Miss Spellman.
Can witches perform exorcisms?
Ah, yes. Great elective. Obviously, Sabrina still has it out for Satan, so she's really just going to school because she wants to eventually take, AP potions with Snape, but the dean of the school is also out to get her. One of her biggest enemies, besides Satan, are these three plastics called the Weird Sisters. They're all orphans who hate half-breeds, which is why they despise Sabrina. They blackmail human jocks and give them erectile dysfunction, so when the dean calls them up to haze Sabrina, they misunderstand that as hang Sabrina. So Sabrina has to call up the children of the corn who pull up and teach them a lesson since all of these kids also died due to hazing, and they put these sisters in their place. Sabrina's then giving this Da Vinci code that supposedly her father worked on and that she needs to unlock in order to join conjuring class, but unbeknownst to her, she uncages the demon inside. So this whole episode has a sleep demon torturing them in their dreams in order to get to their subconscious, and you got Ambrose who's living in a loop, Zelda has a bad dinner date, Hilda goes out with the principal who had an insatiable taste for his twin and ate him in the womb, and Sabrina gets hunted down by her own husband on her wedding day because I guess she binged Kill Bill before knocking out. Mrs. Wardwell, however, steps in and snaps Sabrina out of it, and the rest of the episode is just Sabrina playing Inception as she hops into each of their nightmares in order to protect them, saying this super long spell. Girl, Open Sesame would have done. Of course, a dream catcher ends up being the thing that saves them from a dream demon. They spider her up, and yeah, this ends up being my least favorite episode. Hands down. So Sabrina pulls up on Mrs. Wardwell because she's noticing that this lady has been snooping around a little too much, and Lilith over here, as she actually goes by, says that she's been spying on behalf of Sabrina's father for her protection, pretty much taking up the mantle of Hagrid. Now, usually parents struggle to get their teens to go to church, but in this one, they're trying their hardest to make sure Sabrina doesn't go to mass. Reason being is that she wants to pull off an exorcism to help Susie's uncle who's been possessed, but I guess Catholics have the copyrights on exorcisms, and well, you already know the show is facing a lawsuit. Sabrina learns that her boyfriend had an encounter with a goat monster, which would have been Satan years ago, so she does everything in her power to pull off this ritual in order to protect her friends. And while she does, little does she know that again, it's all a part of Mrs. Demon Claus's plan. Oh, and Nick's still trying.
But you also have two natures. You go to two schools. Why not date two guys?
Now, this to me is the most jacked up episode, alright? So these witches have this annual tradition known as Feast of Feasts. It's like their Thanksgiving / Feast of Tabernacles, except there is no turkey. The turkey is a person. Even weirder than that is that the families consider it an honor to be eaten. So they all actually volunteer as tribute to enter this lottery to see who's lucky enough to become queen. Sabrina's like the only one who realizes that they ain't living in pilgrim times anymore. You know, there's no famine, so there's really no need for this ritual. So even when her weird enemy gets chosen, you know, I personally would have let her get eaten. But Sabrina has morals and stuff.
If you wanted to escape, well, I would happily look the other way.
Why would I want to escape? I'm about to be transubstantiated.
Now, there's also a big revelation in this episode about Blackwood, who, again, isn't just the dean of the school, but the high priest. And this guy believes that the church is getting so progressive because it's getting so conservative. So obviously, he's trying to get a male heir now that his wife is pregnant with twins. But Lady Blackwood over here is a little concerned about her husband starking it up in his younger days, so she actually rigged the lotto in this episode in order to get rid of who she believes is his Joanna Snow.
Because she and her slut sisters are your seed.
Are you my father then?
I am.
They serve up a truth cake that makes them tell the truth, and for the first time, I actually felt for Prudence.
Are we your daughters too?
No, you're just orphans.
At the end, they end up looking over the syllabus and realize that, yeah, they gotta make these changes. So they end up cutting out the feast ritual, but of course, there's always that overly religious woman at church who takes it too far.
Freya lives! Praise Satan!
Girl, you wanted to get eaten, just contact the principal. So now these two realize that they're less special than they already were, so they start acting even weirder. They start playing with these voodoo dolls that end up rocking these minors, one of them actually being Harvey's brother.
He's coming here to plan Tommy's funeral for tomorrow. He's rushing it because he can't collect the insurance check until there's been a funeral. We haven't even found his body yet.
And we thought these witches were heartless. Thanks to Roz's vision, Sabrina pulls up on Wendy Adams and makes her do this ritual in order to get her in-law back. And she straight Arya Starks her. But both of them come back. Kinda. By now, I get why people like the show, right? It's kind of like a mix of everything. It's not as light as the previous Sabrina series, especially since I'm still waiting for the cat to talk.
Salem, my man!
Whoa! Adolescence is not sitting well with you.
But I get the craving for a teen drama / occult thriller. It's clear the showrunners love horror classics with all of their homages, you know. Sabrina's dressed like Mia Farrow was in Rosemary's Baby. Harvey's showing off his midriff like Johnny Depp did on Elm Street. He's also reading American Vampire, which is a fantastic comic series I would recommend. And while everyone's so concerned about the statue, bro, they took the window from Suspiria, the wallpaper from Suspiria, the mural from Suspiria. Hell, maybe even the viewers from Suspiria. But I think it's cool seeing all these little references because it shows how much the production team acknowledges the classics that came before them. And we're talking classics from all genres.
My, that looks like a heavy pizza.
Even the ending of this episode gets 50 Shades darker.
You will flagellate me, and then I will flagellate you, and together we will suffer in exquisite ecstasy.
So I guess none of these kids know about Lazarus Pits because, of course, Tommy didn't come back the same. Sabrina then has to enter the Further to rescue Tom's soul from limbo, pulling that thing from Insidious, string and all, when she bumps into her mom.
What's that? The Soul Eater. Don't let him get you. Save yourself!
Who leaves her out to die. She ends up confessing to her friends that she's a witch since one of them is already having visions about it and the other is ready to go to Themyscira. Sabrina hits Harvey with the second biggest revelation a girl can do, and after learning that she's a witch, learning the truth of her brother, he chooses to put down his own blood and ends his relationship with Sabrina. Obviously, Lady Blackwood ends up dying during childbirth, but since the eldest of the two twins is a girl, Zelda has to lie and decides to kidnap the daughter so she doesn't get sacrificed, and claims to Blackwood that the remaining boy ate the other one in the room, something that keeps popping up and Blackwood is proud of.
As it should be.
Wardwell then goes all out in converting Sabrina by summoning these witches, the 13 from the previous hunts that we talked about, that are gonna kill absolutely everyone in town. Like, Shipka's used to madmen, but these witches are on a whole nother level. Thus, Mrs. Satan is finally able to convince her to sign the book in order to possess the powers to take them down, and she ends up becoming one of only 4 witches that have digivolved enough to summon Hellfire. What's funny about that is that this whole time Lilith has been doing this dirty work because she thinks it's going to make her queen, right? When in reality, Sabrina now has a new haircut and new powers, so Satan's probably eyeing her the same way he did Jesus in the desert. Like, she must feel like that McDonald's crew trainer who's been putting in the work to become manager, only for Jose to get it. Bruh, Jose just got here. By the end, Sabrina has sacrificed her mortal life in order to become Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls, saving Greendale, and proving to us that out of all the teen productions Netflix has done, leave it to the one about witchcraft to be the most moral one.
Let's not be catty bitches.
Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. This was a long 10 hours, but yeah, to scrub through it, and I thought it was interesting. I'm curious to see how similar Riverdale is. I thought Riverdale was just like a regular, I don't know, high school drama. Does it also have all this magic? I guess that's going to be something that I'm going to have to cover. I know there's like 3 seasons of that as well. A lot of episodes, but this one was interesting. I give it the rent it. You know, it's obviously streamable, but I give it the rent it. You know, there's that Christmas episode that's coming out, so I may do something on that as well. But I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts out there. Any little Easter eggs or stuff that I missed, big plot points that you think are going to come back in the 2nd season, any of that stuff. I also want to give a big shout out to my friend Lee from Drum Dums. Definitely go check out this video right here that I have linked. Go leave a comment. I had the little timestamp right there. I was invited on his show to talk my favorite horror movies. So if you've ever been curious to see what Let Me Explain's favorite horror movies are, well, I explain them over there. Definitely go show him some love. Just leave a comment over there. Comment the others. Comment that. Comment the others. Let Me Explain sent you, the cartoon sent you, whatever it is. But let me know your thoughts on this, on anything else. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or Mrs. Wardrow will Randall you.